The expectation with climate change is that ice conditions will change over time, and it will become relatively easy or easier to use the Arctic Ocean as a passage for vessels, for commercial ships, for example, which may have an effect on the ability of different countries to exchange goods and services.
Just being in Alaska, I've always been interested in the Arctic, and there's a lot more interest now in terms of oil and gas development, shipping, and potential for fisheries.
Baseline information means censusing essentially what animals are there and how they're distributed, and trying to understand something about the environmental processes or the environmental features that sort of control how those species are distributed. So I've been involved in some genetic work to attempt to barcode, we refer to that as barcoding, getting a sort of a unique genetic identifier for the various species that are present. There's efforts like this underway all over the globe, but I've been involved in the targeted effort going on in the Arctic marine system. And that information is useful because we don't have names for everything yet, and so it gives us a way to talk about species even though we don't have names for those species yet. And working in a new system like this that hasn't been explored in great detail, we quite commonly find species that haven't been described before, and it actually takes quite a bit of work to formally describe a species and give it a name. So having that identifier for that species before a formal description is written is really useful.
We really don't have a good handle on the full spectrum of fish and invertebrates in that area.
There can be tailings from drilling activities, for example. Trawling for fishes can stir up the bottom, and so my research is partly driven by a need to just gather more information about baseline information about what species are there and how the ecosystem is currently functioning, so that we can understand how we might affect it with our presence and those types of activities in the Arctic.